What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. We'll let some people in right now. They're in the waiting room right now. Ava, my executive assistant, she is sick today, so I have Misi stepping in right now to kind of help out. So this is her first time being a co-host. And what's up? What's up, Iker? How you doing, buddy? Alex, how are you, sir? We'll let a few more minutes for people to come on in and stuff like that. Today's gonna be a fun day. I'm gonna do a iPad presentation. We're gonna walk through a couple different things. What's up, Isaiah? How are you? All right. Hey, Michael. Listen, man, I'll be honest with you, dude. Every time you come in here, you just start spamming and you're just pop in here to spam and advertise, and then you just leave again. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, I'm more than welcome. I'd love having people here. And if I'm able to help, let's do it. But if your goal is just to come in here and just spam the chat with your email and your phone number and try to, get people to buy and sell real estate with you, I'm just not going to let you in, man. So it's your call, dude. I'm not trying to be offensive at all, but the goal of this Zoom is to add value and actually, if people are going to be posting things, I want them to be adding value first. That's the rule. Rule number one in the Facebook group is if you're going to be advertising yourself, at least be helping other people. So yeah, man, your call. You're more than welcome to stay, but yeah, dudes, let's stop self-promoting yourself. Okay, man? Cool. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to crack the whip. It's something that I want to make sure that we set the rule early on. So guys, what's up? Happy Friday, everybody. I know we are going to have a slower turnout today, and that is super fine because that lets me lean into you guys a little bit more. Right now, there is a big event happening in Denver. Some of you are aware of it. Some of you may not be. It's the Squad Up Summit. That's the sub 2 meetup that everyone goes to. I personally don't really care to go to that meetup. I think there's a lot of networking events across the nation that have a lot of value. That one to me is just not my cup of tea. So I'm here with you guys. A couple more things to add. We've got some new students that are enrolled, and they're going to be coming in here today. So I'll be diving into you guys a little bit more. But so anyway, for those of you guys that are new, this is your first time, do me a favor, say in the chat, me, something like that. I want to know where you're from. I want to know what your focus is and all that kind of stuff. And for those of you guys that are new, what's up, iPhone? I don't know who you are, but welcome. For those of you guys that are new, this is what's up, Tanner? This is our Freshman Friday, okay? And this call is kind of like open to everybody. I really want to try to make education be accessible to people regardless of your budget. And obviously, I have a lot of students that work with me one-on-one or in our freshman semester. And so if I'm able to help get you guys a deal with just giving education out for whatever questions you guys have, and that gives you the ability to start investing in yourself and more education, and I seem like the right fit, hell yeah, that's what my goal is. So that's what this call is about. If you guys are here for the very first time, what I've been doing over the past few weeks is I've been kind of taking everybody on a journey. All right. So a few weeks ago, we focused on foundations. All right. So we focused on whether you are an integrator versus a visionary, like what your role is in the business. Are you the person that wants to get on camera? Are you the person that likes to work with CRMs and spreadsheets, right? So that was the first week we did this. The week after that, we started focusing on what we call the conveyor belt. That is the specific seats in your business that your goal is going to be delegating out towards, right? And a little paraphrase on that. What's up, bro? Charlotte, North Carolina, great market, by the way. What I'll say is that when it comes to building out your conveyor belt, right, we want to identify what's the first seat on that conveyor belt, right? That is going to be your lead generation, generating leads in this business. Without leads, you don't have a diet to feed your business, and therefore your business dies. So it goes lead generation, then it goes lead follow-up, then it goes into acquisitions, then it goes into transaction coordination, and then it finally goes into dispo. Every seat on your conveyor belt, the eventual goal is to scale yourself out of it, right? To delegate yourself out of it. And so on that week, we talked about lead generation. We talked about what it looks like to hire and fire and get people in that seat. Last week was a huge deep dive on marketing, where we were talking about the three disciplines of marketing. Discipline number one, and if you guys remember it, discipline number one is sweat equity versus traditional marketing. In other words, you're either broke or you're spending money on marketing. Okay, that's the first discipline. The second discipline is on market versus off market, right? So if you're dealing with agents and you're dealing with listed properties where the honest truth is you're not going to get a lot of great deals that way, but that's the on market. And then the off market is obviously direct to seller. And then the final third discipline is inbound versus outbound marketing, right? So we want to identify what are your strategies going to be. Most people, they start off in the beginning stages. They start off with sweat equity outbound, right? So they're picking up their cell phone and they are cold calling. Okay. So they're doing outbound calling and they're picking up their cell phone doing it. The next stage typically is you might hire a virtual assistant and you might actually have that virtual assistant sit in your dialer and start making calls for you. And that's the next stage of scaling out. The eventual goal, the end all be all where you're going to make the most amount of money is going to be inbound marketing. Okay. And if you guys are a student of mine, you already know that's a big, big, big push that I really want to try to make people go. When you are focused on leaving the sweat equity path, so you're going to start investing money in marketing, and then you're going to start focusing on inbound marketing. So generating better leads with people that are looking to, sell their property today. They have higher motivation. They have a shorter timeline to sell. Those are the leads that we want to target. Now, a well-rounded investment operation, it's going to have a few of those. It's going to have outbound marketing, maybe using a VA. So you're generating cold call type of leads, which they're not amazing. Okay. Cold call leads are usually a longer timeline to close. They have a little bit less distress because, again, we talked about this last week, that it is not about calling them today, and today happens to be the day they're looking to sell at a discount. It might be a little bit of a timeline, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months until they sell. So as I said, a well-rounded operation is going to have a diversified style of running leads. Does that make sense to you guys? So today, inspired by Tanner, one of my new students, he has someone on his team that he wants to try to, while he's building out his systems and his software and getting all of his foundation level started, he wanted someone on his team to be able to start taking action and moving forward. And so I was like, you know what? I think we need to start talking about the topic of marketing was last week. And now we want to start focusing on where we are going to market towards. Who here, put a 1 in the chat right now if you guys are targeting foreclosures / pre-foreclosures / notice of default / notice of trustee sale. Ashley 1, Steve Horn 1, 1, 1. Awesome. All right. So you guys are already on the right track. If you guys are not targeting that specific pain point, that is what this call is about. Okay. This call is going to be going over everything foreclosure, everything notice of trustee sale, all of those things. Does anyone know, by the way, and you can unmute yourself if you want, pop quiz. Does anyone know the difference between a notice of default and a notice of trustee sale? Come on. Notice of default and notice of trustee sale. I love it. You guys are all going to listen right now. Yes, Steve. I think Steve. I've gone over this with you. The stage of the process. You're exactly right. Okay. And so I am going to share my screen. I'm also going to highlight me so that you guys can see me better. Spotlight for everyone. There you go. All right. We all seeing this? Yes, we are. There we go. Okay. So notice of default, guys. We call this the NOD list, notice of default. This is the legal notification, the notice that a bank needs to make to start the foreclosure process. And the notice of default is typically a 90-day time frame. So from the minute the notice of default has been filed, that bank is giving a homeowner 90 days to be able to fix their problem. And typically what happens when a homeowner goes past due on their payments, that is what we start calling arrears. All right. Now, arrears are the problem with arrears is that if, let's say, you miss one payment, $2,000, but then now you're behind by a month, they don't allow you just to like stay behind 1 month and just make the next payment and the next payment and still be behind. They say, no, 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 no. You now need to pay $4,000 to catch it all up. And so for those first 90 days, there's not a lot of fees that are tacked on to a notice of default. Okay. That is simply going to be the missed mortgage payments that need to be paid. The second, right after that, is the notice of trustee, or the NOT. The notice of trustee is now the bank has hired a trustee, hired a lawyer, and a law firm to handle the auction. And that, from the minute a notice of trustee is filed, that is typically 45 days. So from start to finish, from the minute a notice of default is filed, oops, I'm dropping my pen. Hold on. So there we are. So from the minute a notice of default is filed, you typically have roughly about 135 days until the auction occurs. Now, when a notice of trustee sale gets filed, you also get to learn on what date the auction is actually taking place. And that gives you like actually a deadline, a timeline. Okay. Does everyone follow so far? Yes. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go back and forth between my iPad and talking to you guys. So as I said, notice of default, notice of trustee. And I want to talk about the timeline and the psychology of that, more importantly. The first thing I want to talk about real quickly, though, before I go ahead, something to keep in mind, a lot of you guys are nationwide. You guys are in different cities and different counties and different states. State by state, it's either going to be a judicial or a non-judicial process. That's going to be up to you to determine what that's going to be so you can learn how to operate around that. For example, Utah is a non-judicial state. Say that fast 3 times. Non-judicial state. Okay, so non-judicial state means that a lawyer can be hired. They then file at the county recorder a notice of default, a notice of trustee, and then the auction gets filed. And typically speaking, the auction occurs at the courthouse steps, right outside or inside the lobby. That's also where a lot of flippers will buy properties by actually bidding on those auctions, right? Have you guys ever gone to an auction before? I say yes or no, I don't really care. But yeah, no, if you've been to an auction, It's a cool experience. Sorry, someone unmuted themselves?
No, I said no.
Oh, no. Okay, thank you. Thank you for unmuting yourself. So going to an auction is a really cool experience. And just so you guys know, from a wholesale perspective, if you are trying to find real buyers, like real buyers, take a day, go to the auction, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., something like that in the morning. Sometimes it's in the afternoon. Go there and introduce yourself to every single person there, because those people are real buyers. Do you know what it takes to actually buy a property at an auction? Typically speaking, it takes a $20,000 to $25,000 cashier's check made out for that auction. And then the minute you deposit that check, when you win the bid, you have about 24 hours to pay the remaining amount, which means that they've either got hard money already lined up, ready to go, or they've got funding ready to go. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So when building a buyer's list, spending 1 or 2 days going through, and by the end of this call, by the way, guys, I'm going to teach you how to identify the best day to go to the auction steps to be able to identify that. Okay. So as I was saying, judicial versus non-judicial. If it is a judicial state, that means that a judge needs to get involved. It actually needs to be a filing at the court. It actually has to be more of a hearing. Everybody has to show up. You've got a prosecutor and, a defendant, a plaintiff, and all that kind of stuff. And it's a big hassle. Non-judicial states are great for auctions. It's simple. It's easy. The bank just has, and even for you, even if you are a landlord yourself or, or you're selling on creative finance and you have to foreclose on somebody, a non-judicial state is something to always take into account because it makes the foreclosure process be a 135-day process versus months and months of continuations. Make sense so far, guys? Thank you, Adrian. So continuing on, going back to the iPad. Okay. So my students know this. I know Steve already knows this, and Tanner, I want you to start absorbing this. Kadarius, you probably already know this. Iker, I haven't dwelled in foreclosures. This helps a lot. You're very welcome, man. This is what this is for, okay? I always say this. If I were to start over again and I were to build my business outright, foreclosures would and always will be my number one target. Okay. Like on a sidetrack on this. Okay. What are the values of a foreclosure? Number one, there is a deadline. Deadline. Forgive my writing. Okay. Deadline. They have to either fix their problem or they have to sell their property in a period of 135 days or less. Now, caveat to that, there is a couple of other things. They could file a bankruptcy. They could file a few extensions. There are, caveats to it's not always 135 days, but if no one files a foreclosure, bankruptcy or anything, typically, again, as I said, 135 days. All right. So let's talk about Isaiah. Are there still spots in the next semester? Technically speaking, right after this call is our orientation for our new students. The only way to get in is by scheduling a call with me. You know what? Let me do this real fast. For anybody that hasn't scheduled a call, but they put themselves on the wait list. What is it? Is it this one? No, that's it. If you want to schedule a call with me, if this is something you want to talk about, wait, I sent it to the waiting room participants. Hold on. Sorry. I think I went to the wrong thing. Everyone in meeting. That's what I want to do. There we go. Sorry. So as I said, for anyone that is going to become a student, I need to interview them first. I want to make sure it's the right fit. I want to make sure they have the resources that not only time, capital, I want to make sure that they're the right fit. If they're not, these calls, that's what it's meant for, right? Like I want to make sure that you guys get as much value out of it as possible. Yeah, Steve. By the way, guys, Steve is an amazing student. He's also a general contractor up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So he's an amazing resource. He's also going to be putting on a weekly call going over all comping and renovation amounts and stuff like that. So you can learn about like what cost per square foot is, what material costs are and stuff like that. So Steve is amazing. I love you, buddy. All right, guys, continuing on, as I was saying. So when we are looking at a notice of default and a notice of trustee, I first want to ask you guys this question. When do you think the best times to market to these homeowners is, or the best times are? Steve, you already know this answer. Don't answer it. Does anyone else know the best times? Auction date set. That's a good time. Absolutely. There are 3 times that you should be marketing to these people. And I'm going to we're doing a timeline real fast. Okay. Here is our timeline. All right. Here is the beginning stage. This is the NOD. Okay. Here is the next stage. And I'm going to put it right over here. Intentionally, it's not in the center, but this is the NOT filing. And then finally over here is the actual auction. Okay. So, Kara, are you asking how to contact Steve or how to contact, or your Steve, put your contact in the chat if you don't mind.
Yes, Steve, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, guys, the 3 times that you should be marketing to these homeowners is in the very beginning, in the very beginning of the notice of default, the very beginning of the notice of trustee, and then about a week before the actual auction takes place. Why is that? I'm going to show you guys why right now. When you are in this stage right now, the seller is in that stage, we are trying to identify the logical thinkers. Okay? Sergio, what's up, buddy? We are trying to identify the logical thinkers. These are the homeowners that lost their job, that understand that they will probably not be able to catch up their arrears. They will not be able to afford any payments. Steve, I'm going to mute you real quick, buddy. They are logically identifying that selling their property is probably the best plan of action. no matter what. Okay. That's the logical thinkers. Everybody else in between here, everyone else, these are what we call, how do I spell ostrich? Ostrich? Is that spelled right? Ostrich? Yeah. Ostrich. That's right. Okay. Sorry. They are an ostrich with their head in the sand. These are the people that will not answer their phones. They are the people that are getting hammered by wholesalers. They are the people that are getting hammered by bill collectors, by the bank, by everybody. Because of that, they are going to put their head into the sand. They are not going to answer their phone. They might not respond to any letters or any direct mail or anything like that. So we have to identify that your chances of contacting an ostrich and actually getting them to answer the phone is very, very slim. And if they do, for any of my students that have had this conversation before, you might get that person on the phone, like maybe right over here in the very beginning of that stage. But the ability and the chance to get them to answer the phone a second time for a follow-up typically does not happen until they start moving closer to this direction, right? So what I try to do in this beginning stage over here that I'm circling here in the red, what I try to do, if I were to get in touch with somebody, I simply am trying to generate rapport. I'm trying to generate a friendship. Okay. Do you understand what I'm getting at here is that what I want to do in this circumstance is I want to not make them feel pressured by me because they're getting offers from wholesalers all the time. They're getting, again, bombarded by the bank and bill collectors. I don't want them to feel scared of talking to me. I want them to feel that I am a resource. So in this entire stage right here, what am I doing? I'm presenting myself as a friend. When I am approaching them, whether it be door knocking, whether it be cold calling, I am coming at them saying, listen, I am not here to make an offer on your property. I am here to help you get the bank off your back. I am here to help you solve your issues, whatever that may be. And if, God forbid, we are not able to find a solution together, I can still make you an offer on your property. I've got people that I work with. I've got financial partners, and we can make you an offer on your property so that you get to capture your equity and the bank doesn't steal it. Does that make sense to you guys? Any questions so far? Thank you, Edgar.
Jeremy,
Yes.
I don't know if it's a question. I'm confused about times
Okay.
because these auctions or foreclosures are like they have a limited time. So when you go to find the property and then um you said you have to have the harmony line up. So just with the how I mean I
No, no,
don't
no, 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 no,
understand
no.
the
You
time.
misunderstood.
Okay.
You a wholesaler, you don't have to have hard money lined up at all.
Oh, okay.
But if you are a flipper and you are going to the auction over here on the right side of things, if you're going there for the purpose of actually buying a property at the auction so that you can renovate it and make money on it, you have to have the hard money or you have to have the entire amount available within 24 hours of winning the auction. What I'm talking
Okay.
about right now is marketing to those homeowners before the auction takes place.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yep.
Any other questions right now, guys? While I
I got
continue?
one, Jeremy.
What's up, Daniel? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, so say you get a property under contract a week before the auction date. Does that property need to be fully closed on before the auction date?
No. Great question, Daniel. No, it does not. Okay. So what I always like to do, if I got the property under contract in the very beginning of the notice of default, what I will typically do is I'll just continue on as normal. Okay. I'll schedule the closing, and the closing typically happens in about 30 days. And because not a lot of fees are tacked on from a notice of default, the fees really start accruing at the notice of trustee sale. That's when the lawyer has been hired. And so that's where things get more expensive. So if it's still in the notice of default phase, It really depends. I'm super happy to delay the auction. And the way you do that, and this is going to be a little bit higher stuff, and Daniel, we'll talk about that. You work with Tanner. So because you guys are a student, I'll actually go into that with more detail. Hold on one second. Sorry. I was getting a weird phone call. We will talk about at a later call. We'll talk about how you work with the bank and actually delay the auction, what you send over to them, all the paperwork, all the specific things. That's a little bit more of a higher level conversation. But if I was closer to the notice of trustee sale, then I would absolutely work with the bank and delay the auction. I would delay everything. And what typically happens, even if you're right here, I've stopped auctions 10 minutes before the auction. It's not fucking easy. Don't think that that's the goal here. Like I would rather like pull out my own fingernails and have to do that because it is so much work. I'm not kidding. Like I've gone on to like, LinkedIn and I found the vice president of the bank and reached out to them so they can go to their loss mitigation department. And dude, no, don't do that. Okay. But the goal here is that, yes, to answer your question, if you can delay it, when you can show that the seller is actually selling the property, the bank will typically do a 30 to 60 day delay. And so when you go onto a trustee's website, you'll sometimes see that the auction has been postponed. That is typically what's happening in that circumstance. Either that or a bankruptcy was filed. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Continuing on, guys. As I said, in the beginning stages of notice of default, we are trying to identify the logical thinkers. These are going to be the people that are going to take a cash offer on their property. It's more than likely not going to be a grand slam deal, but it's going to probably be a base hit, a second base, or a third base hit, depending on the level of stress, right? If it's nothing more than some seller saying, yeah, you know what, I'll sell. It's not going to be, again, it's not going to be a home run. Let me read this question. Where do you see or find what stage the property is in notice of default or notice of trustee sale? Really great question. That is going to be going into in this presentation. I'm going to get into that in the next stage here. Okay. Give me a second. So as I was saying, for example, there was a property, I'm trying to remember exactly. I think we made $45,000 or $55,000 on it. And the notice of default had just occurred. And we knocked on the door. Actually, one of my students knocked on the door and just said, hey, we're looking to make an offer on your property. Are you looking to sell? And he says, you know what? Yeah, I am looking to sell. Why don't you make me an offer? So he scheduled me to drive out there. I drove out there the next day. I made him an offer and I made $45,000, $55,000. But how did I make that money? This guy in the beginning stages, he still had 135 days to sell his property. So why did he not just hire an agent? Why didn't he just list the property? I'll tell you why. Because he lost his car to impound. So now he's not able to get to work. So what did I do at the closing? I said to him, if I can get you, I really just dropped my pen a second time. I'm klutzy. Anyway, what did I say to him? I said, I will pay out of pocket before we even close escrow. I will pay to get your car out of impound so that you don't lose your job and make this even worse. So I think I paid, I don't know. I think I paid like No. I think I paid like $2,700, something like that, to get his car out of impound. I even spoke to the person at the bank that he had the car loan through. Like I went through all this work. Now remember, guys, this is real estate investment. This is wholesale, right? You are not making your money just because you're buying and selling properties. You're making your money by solving problems, right? The profit you make is directly proportional to the problems that you solve. You're going to hear me say that a number of times. So that is also why, what's the most important thing I'm trying to find out from a seller? What's their motivation? What's their reason for selling? Okay. So anyway, back to the whole point. That guy, I got his car out of impound, and that because he got a favor from me, he did a favor back and said, hey, I will sell my property at a discount if you can just get the money in my bank account in the next 2 weeks. Boom, I wholesaled it. I signed that deal out. I think I spent, other than calling the bank about the impound, I think I probably spent about 2.5 hours total on that deal including driving to his house, and I made $55,000. Would you guys do something like that on a regular basis? I hope you would. That's why you're here. All right. So, anyway, as I said, I want to move past this. Okay. So notice of default. This is in the beginning stages. These are your logical thinkers. As you are moving down the road towards the notice of trustee sale, this is where you could still be marketing. And I'm not going to say don't market, but this is where in the ostrich stage with their head in the sand, that is where you're going to have the lowest response rate by far. You're going to get the least amount of cold calls answered, the least amount of text messages responded to. And the only way that you're ever going to get an ostrich to answer your call is if they see you as a friend and not a threat. Because when they're getting hit by every angle, they don't want to feel stressed out. I know this firsthand. My family, when I was a child, some of you guys know my backstory. My family got foreclosed on twice. One when I was like 5 years old and another when I was 16 years old. And both times I remember the rule was at dinner, we don't answer the phone because it's a bill collector. In fact, not even dinner, just all the time. Don't answer the phone. That's back then when we had answering machines, right? So we would hear the person as soon as it would start going live. I remember sitting there in fear and this feeling of just panic where when the answering machine started opening up the microphone so you can hear who was leaving the recording, it was always a bank or it was always a bill collector or something like that. So I know if I as a kid experienced that, adults are getting it 10 times more. Okay. And yeah, again, that's why I do what I do is because I experienced that as a kid. That's where I'm, trying to fix the problems for a lot of homeowners. So anyway, continuing on. Now we hit the notice of trustee sale. Okay. The notice of trustee sale is now filed. And now you actually have data that you can provide. John, it's intimidating for sure. Now you have data that you can provide that seller. Now, this is the moment that they've been in the ostrich stage for, at this point, almost 3 months. Now is your chance to punch them across the face. Now is your chance to say, get your head out of the sand. You now have 45 days to fix your problem. This is literally like MacGruber or MacGyver, whichever one you want to think about it. Like this is the moment that the timer starts going off on that bomb. Now they've got 45 days to solve their problem. This is typically the moment they start taking their head out of the sand and start trying to solve their issue. This is where you start doing your follow-up. This is where you start hammering them to try to get them on the phone. This is also where you are providing a true resource because now they go, shit, I've only got 45 days to fix this. Who do I go to for help? Well, if that's you, this is how you get the deal. Okay. So continuing on. Now we've got 45 days. They're going to typically sell in this beginning of the 45 days. That's another window of time, or they're going to sell about a week before the auction. And the week before the auction is where you are going to make the most amount of money. Why is that? Someone unmute themselves. Why would you make the most amount of money right there in that last week?
Because they got to move
Their
the
backs
property.
up against the wall.
Well, everybody
Urgency.
Urgency. Urgency. I like that word. Okay. Urgency. They're desperate. If you have been following up effectively and you're building rapport and they see you as an asset and not a threat, and they see you as a friend, they will, in this box of time right here, they will trust you with a lower offer than they will another wholesaler that has not been following up in this sequence. Every deal that I close in this window of time, trust me, they are getting hammered by other wholesalers. There is no question about it. They are getting hammered by other wholesalers. But because I have not been aggressive, I've not been a threat to them, I've been an asset to them, when it comes down to this final week, that is where I say, hey, listen, I am going to have to stop your auction. I'm going to go in. Do you trust me? By this point, have I shown you that I'm a person of my word? Have I shown you that everything I've done over the phone or meeting in person, I have stood by what I've said. At this point, you have built out massive, massive trust, which is why they are going to they're going to sell their property to you for $100,000 less than they will for their next competitor because they trust you. Does that make sense to you guys? This is the entire way that you are going to set up your marketing around foreclosures. Take a screenshot of this scribbled mess. Or you know what? I'll let you guys get the recording if you want to go back to this and watch the actual YouTube. I'll send you guys a recording. But thank you, Iker. It's a good name, by the way. So yeah, guys, just send me a DM on right now. I think I'm in timeout. I think I sent out too many invites on Facebook Messenger, so I don't think I'm allowed to send out any right now. But if you message me, I'll be able to send you the recording. So anyway, guys, does that all make sense? Unmute thyself if you have any questions.
That was great.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So we've got about 20 minutes left. So now I want to focus on the next stage, which was the question that was asked earlier, is like, how do you tell where people are on this thing? Okay. So, and I don't think I need to use my iPad for this yet, but notice of default. Put it in the chat right now. Where do you think you find information for notice of default? Where is it born? Not where can you find the information? Because we always know that PropStream has that and softwares like that. And by the way, the easiest way, by far the easiest way to get that information is by using PropStream. I'm going to put our discount link in the chat. There's a trial to it as well. So when you guys are ready to pull the trigger, you've got like a 14-day trial to just like pull the data quickly from PropStream. But where is the data born? And one of the modules in our semester is called like where babies come from. Where does the notice of default come from? Dave, county, that's correct, but let's be more specific. Which office of the county? There you go. Nope, not the assessor, the recorder. Okay. The assessor, what's the job of the assessor? It's to assess tax values, right? Then you've got the treasurer is about collecting taxes. The assessor is there to assess land values, property values, all of that kind of stuff. The recorder is where things are recorded. Okay. So, and Dave, don't say my bad. It's fine. Yeah. So as I was saying, so you've got your county recorder. What I want you guys to do, this is my homework for you guys right now. I want you to identify in the county that you are specifically in or that you want to focus on marketing. I want you to learn how to gain access to the notice of defaults in the county recorder. To be clear, and I've said this to my students 1,000 times, in this business, you have to be a detective sometimes. That means that you have to ask the right questions, right? You have to go to the right websites. You have to sometimes discover how to get to those places. And when it comes to your county recorder, some websites have the information available for free. Some websites have a pay per play, like they might have like a daily $3 or $5 subscription that you've got to pay. And then how do you do that? Does it allow you just to go in there and put your credit card? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes you actually have to go to that office and you have to actually fill out a like an account information and give them your LLC information, all that kind of stuff. But the point I'm trying to make is the more difficult it is to find this information, the better it is for you once you build out that SOP, that standard operating procedure of getting the data. Okay. That means if it's really easy, that means a lot of people can get it easily. And we don't want the slut county. We want the hard to find county. We want those gold nuggets, right? So I'd say this is your homework is number one is to identify the county or counties that you want to market to and document, because AI is awesome now. We have Claude bots and we have things like that that are getting built out. I want you to document what the process is to gain access to that recorder's website and then to be able to pull that data. Now, to be clear about one more thing, there are certain counties out there that don't have a portal. They do not have a website. It's crazy. You have to either go in person and you have to go to the office and use their like community computer and log in and stuff like that and take screenshots with your phone. There's also sometimes they post them on bulletin boards outside the hallway with literal like up on the wall. So as I said to you before, the harder it is for you to get the data, the better it is for you to be able to market to those people effectively. Okay. So if there is an online portal, document those SOPs. What website do you go to? What's the next step? What do you click on? What do you do? Why is that? Because then you can give it to a Claude bot or an AI agent and actually eventually have them do it for you. For me, I had my VAs actually go in on a daily basis and scrape the data, and that's how we marketed effectively. Okay. And the last thing I should say real quick caveat to this. I'm teaching you guys where babies are born. I'm teaching you guys where the data is coming from. If you don't have any money for PropStream, then you've got to find the data by hand, right? Unfortunately, you have to. I don't recommend you guys do this until you have a system and an SOP built out where either you have a VA that's doing it for you or you have an AI agent doing it for you, because it takes up a lot of time to try to get the freshest data, and PropStream and those data aggregators that provide it, it's a lot easier and a lot faster. And I would rather see you guys go and take imperfect action. And maybe the data is not as fresh, but it's more like, you know, when you go to the grocery store and there's the bakery section where the pies and the donuts and all the delicious things are discounted. And you always walk by and it's like, you would never pay full price for like a cherry pie, but if it's half off, you're like, I might want to just take that home tonight. At least that's my sweet tooth. That is PropStream. Okay. It's not the freshest data, but it's still damn good. And it's still going to work for what you're trying to achieve. So I say this, go to the county in the beginning stages and at the very end of your business where you have systems in place to do it for you. But you should not be spending the time to do this on a daily basis. It's too much work. It's too much time. Maybe once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks, but you don't want to do it unless you have someone on your team that can dedicate their time to it. Or like I was saying, with about Daniel, while you guys are building out your systems and your software and getting everything A2P compliant and all that stuff, this is a great opportunity to learn how to pull that data. Okay. So let me get back on track. Isaiah, you're very, very welcome. For someone who hasn't touched a default list, are these going to be easy to execute on my own? Iker, yes. These are not difficult once you know how to do it, but this is literally, if you I don't think you've scheduled a call with me. This is the first time I'm seeing your name. If you schedule one of those 15-minute strategy calls with me, I will actually go through this with you. We can actually talk about that and go through like how you can implement this in your business. Okay. Like that's number one. Even if you're not the right fit for being a student, I still want to be able to point you in direction for the next 90 days to really start taking action. That's going for all of you guys here. Right. So anyway, continuing on. Notice of default is at your county recorder. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to find the NOD list, or it's going to be an NOD filing, and you are going to be wanting to pull that information. All right. That is your notice of default. Going back to the screen right here. That is your notice of default. All right. Now, where's your notice of trustee? Do you guys know where?
Didn't you say 35 days out?
No, where do you find the notice of trustee information?
The bank?
No.
On the default.
No bank. There's going to be two places. One, it's going to be a local newspaper. It's by law a notice of trustee. Okay, it's going to be the local newspaper, or it's going to be at the actual trustee websites. Okay, now let's do a fun little exercise, shall we, people? So this is, by the way, guys, this is years of information and SOPs and everything I've done in my business and made millions and millions and millions of dollars off of these deals that I'm literally breaking down this entire process for you right now. And so like, I almost want to say this is probably one of the best action-packed calls I've ever done. So here's what I want to do, guys. I'm going to share my screen. Auction.com. Who's ever gone here before? Has anyone ever gone to auction.com? Yes. Give me a yes. Give me a no. Yes. There's
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, couple people. Okay.
No.
So auction.com is trash. Auction.com is terrible. It's a really bad website. They require you to have like a subscription and all this kind of stuff. But auction.com is really, really cool because it gives you the first step you need to start figuring out your notice of trustees. So let's use this for example. I'm going to type in Salt Lake County. Okay. Salt Lake County. There we go. Salt Lake County. What I'm looking for right here is two separate things. One, it says foreclosure sale. One, it says bank owned. You guys seeing this? By the way, I want to make sure you guys are seeing my screen. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Bank owned, what does that mean? It means that that property already went to auction and it did not sell to an end buyer. It didn't sell. Nobody bought it for whatever reason it is, but holy shit. This is a property in West Jordan. This is a split level. That starting bid is $200,000. I almost want to bid on this right now. Like I'm not kidding. Yeah, I can tell you right now that a property with this, a 2-car garage split level, probably a bare minimum ARV is $500,000. If we were to get this property for $200,000, which is what the starting bid is, and by the way, the chances of actually making it at $200,000 is very slim to none. But why is there an opening bid for a bank-owned property? It could mean that if this property did not sell for maybe the mortgage balance was too high, and then the bank said, you know what, we are willing to take a loss, we will sell. But also, if I'm looking excuse me, if I'm looking closely here, I see a big red notice right here. I'm almost leaning towards this could be a meth house. This could be a meth contamination house, and I've made a lot of money off of that. So I'm actually interested in this one. Yeah, I'm going to go back to this. Okay, so anyway, typically speaking, bank-owned properties, we don't really market to them. Most of the time, there's no real reason to market to them. We want to look for foreclosure sales because a bank-owned property, guess what we can't do? We can't give them a lower cash offer than what they're asking for. Not only that, we're also bidding against other people. And not only that, we can never, ever do a creative finance offer because they're the bank. They'll literally know. Okay. So we want to look at foreclosure deals. So I'm going to click on this random one right now. And this is what I want to look for right here. Foreclosure contact info. Yes. Holiday, Watkins, and Mann. If you guys are in Utah, this should be the first trustee that you ever go to. Okay. We've got a number of them in Salt Lake and Utah. Again, guys, this is being a detective. I talked about this before. This is being a detective. And what I would do here is I would type in Holiday. You'd find their website. You can already see it's an easy thing for me to search. And I go here, and if you click on their website, not every single trustee will have this. If you get lucky, hell yeah, you're stoked. But what do I do here? I click here, foreclosure sales, and I scroll down. I go, oh my God, look at this. Holiday, Watkins, and Mann, they do Utah, they do Idaho, they do Wyoming, they do Montana, they do North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, Alabama, Mississippi, Mississippi, and Georgia, and Alaska. Let's pick a random one. Idaho, why not? Oh, wow, look at that. This is all of the properties that are scheduled for a notice of trustee auction. And as you can see here, you know what? I want to open up Salt Lake, just a little bit easier for me to navigate. Sale is being postponed. Sale is being postponed. Sale is being postponed. So that tells me that they are either under contract with a buyer looking to sell the property. They might be filing a bankruptcy, giving an extension. But what am I looking at right now? I want to look at, if you see this right here, Salt Lake, Salt Lake, Salt Lake, Salt Lake, all on March 30th at 1 p.m. there are 5 properties that are being auctioned off on that day. Number 1, would this be a cluster of addresses that you would put on a map and go door knock? Yes, it is. Is this also an opportunity for you to go to the county courthouse steps and start making buyer relations? Because now 5 properties being auctioned is a lot better than 1, which means that more buyers are going to say, you know what? F it. I'll take the drive. There's 5 properties I can bid on. Why not? So now what we start doing is we start identifying all of these auction dates, and different counties have different auction dates. So here, this is on the 23rd. That tells me the 23rd is on a Monday. So Holiday Watkins and Mann does their auctions on Mondays at 1 p.m. for Salt Lake County. Holiday Watkins and Mann does their auctions for Utah County on whatever 19th is. Friday? Whatever. No, Thursday? Whatever that is. Anyway, so this is where you start building out a calendar to go out and also start door knocking. So when a notice of trustee, look right here, we go down to the very bottom. Let's look at Salt Lake. Here are 2 new properties that just got scheduled for April 27th. Are we at that last window of them being desperate? No, we're not. But we are in that first window of now we have a date that we can give them where we can call them, we can text them, we can door knock them, and we can say, I just wanted you to be aware, did you know that your house now has an auction that is set for April 27th at 1 p.m. at the Salt Lake County Courthouse? Now it's reality for them. Now they are waking up. So to wrap this up, how do we feel about that, guys? How do we feel?
Sold.
Awesome. So for you guys, remember I talked about in the beginning of this, I talked about sweat equity versus traditional marketing. Okay. Can you target notice of defaults and notice of trustee sales through traditional marketing? Of course you can. Pulling a list, getting a skip trace, getting a VA to start cold calling and stuff like that, sending out direct mail, right? All that kind of stuff. But for a lot of new investors, these are for the people that don't have a lot of capital. We want to look at sweat equity, going in, pulling this data. If you could afford $100 a month, getting a PropStream account is a great way to do this, where you don't have to do this all the time over and over again. But at bare minimum, you're pulling this data. The notice of trustee sale, you should be doing that once a week so you can go door knock that. But if I were to do this all over again with nothing more than a bicycle and a can of Red Bull, I would pull this information and I would ride around neighborhoods and I would go door knock and I'd leave letters and I'd write letters and I'd send them in the mail. And this is how I would make a lot of my money. The end. Is there a rule for knowing when to walk away from a bid? Iker, that is comping and underwriting, buddy. When it comes to, walking away from a bid, if your maximum level offer is too high and the seller wants too much, you're either taking a chance or you get them under contract. That's it. Most of the time I will, if it's not going to be an obvious deal, like if it's right on the fine line, I might get under contract, because again, that's taking a risk. But if you have a strong dispo process, you might be able to find a buyer. But as long as I'm below my maximum level offer, that's when I know it's good to give the offer. Okay. So guys, I want to open this up for just maybe 1 or 2 questions, but just letting you guys know, right after this call here in like 5 minutes, if you are a student, we are doing our freshman orientation. So if I've had a call with you, that should be in the WAP portal in our schedule. You know what? Let me see if I can grab that really quickly. Hold on 5 seconds real quick, guys. This is our freshman orientation. This is where we're going to talk about everything we just went over. What is going on here? There we go. And then, here we go. I'm going to put it in the chat real quick, guys. Dave, absolutely, buddy. Guys, obviously, if you're not a student, this link is not going to work for you. For my students that are here, we're going to be hopping into that orientation. We'll be doing more of a deep dive into all of this. And again, guys, this is no pressure. This is where I want it to be the most casual thing in the world. If you guys have any desire to even hop on a 15-minute call with me and strategize your next 90 days, and then at the end of that, we can talk about potentially becoming a student. The new semester is starting right now. Don't worry, you're not too far behind. I really want to interview and work with the right people that are going to help me build this community. I'm in the early stages of doing this, so you guys being part of this means a lot to me. And yeah, just being part of this Zoom means a lot to me. So there you go, guys. There is the calendar. Iker, awesome. Yeah. So guys, there's the link right there. Click that if you want to schedule a call with me. I appreciate it and all that stuff. But yeah, let me open up the questions for one or two people. Anything specific you guys want to go over around everything I just covered? I gave you a freaking crash course in how to make $1 million plus in your business doing literally this. Nothing?
It's going to take a minute for it to soak in.
That's totally fine. Ashley, what was the website you went to the last one? Well, auction.com. Ashley, do me a favor. We don't have the recording yet. We still have to upload it. I saw you just DM'd me. Send me a message on Facebook. Send me a DM on Facebook, not here. And then once it's uploaded and recorded, I'll send it to you. Okay. You hear that, Ashley? Cool. And what was the last website that I went to? The last website I went to for holiday walk-ins, and man, that is one of the trustees in Utah as an example. But I want you guys, this is what I want you to do. I'll leave you with this. I want you to go to auction.com, auction.com. Write it down. Very easy to remember. Auction.com. I want you to pull up your county, and I want you to start clicking through all the properties that say foreclosure sale. I want you then to start writing down who the trustee or the law firm is that is representing that auction. Then I want you to do a Google search, and I want you to try to find those websites of those trustees and see if you can find foreclosure information on their website. Now, what I tell all my students about being a detective, Julie, do you ever contact the trustee directly? Yes, all the time. But that's a totally different story, that totally different subject. That's like how you stop the auction and how to, all that kind of stuff. Steve, no worries, buddy. I'll see you on the next call. Okay, dude? But what I was going to say was, if that website does not have the trustee sale information on there, then I recommend you call the trustee and find out if they maybe have a separate website or they have something you can subscribe to, a newsletter, something like that. And then you know what else I would do on that call? I would ask them if they are aware or if they would not mind sharing any other trustee law firms that they recommend that have the information listed on their website that you can get their information. So every call, just like when you're talking to a seller, guys, if you're talking to a seller and they say, no, I'm not looking to sell my property, what do you say before you get off the phone? No worries. Do you happen to know anybody else that might be looking for an offer on their property? Or do you have any
Or do you have any other properties?
Yeah, or do you have any other properties? Or do you have a neighbor you don't like and you want me to get them to move? Right? So things like that, guys. And so we want to do that every time that we are trying to uncover information. We want to be a detective. We want to try to uncover that stuff. So that is the Notice of Default, Notice of Trustee crash course. And so go to auction.com. Your homework, again, is two things. Two things, guys. Homework. Write it down or watch this recording again. Number one, find where the Notice of Defaults are for your county so you can start pulling that information, or just signing up with a PropStream account. I'll do it one last time. PropStream account right there. There's a trial there so you can do it for free and then you can cancel your trial. I don't care. I just want to make this easier for you guys to start gaining momentum. That's all I care about. Okay. So then you're going to pull the Notice of Default information. Then I want you to go to auction.com and I want you to start identifying a list of as many trustee law firms that deal and handle the auctions in your area, and start putting together a calendar in your head of properties that are set for auction, and then I want you to start marketing to them. If you are drivable, I want you to door knock them. I want you to leave letters on their door. I want to see you guys. We are coming into springtime now. The excuse of it being bad weather is long gone. Stop making that excuse. I want to get you guys out in your car or on your bicycle or on your skateboard, and I want you guys to start knocking doors, or I want you to start cold calling those addresses, texting, or sending direct mail. I want you doing deals. And if I can help you do those deals, you want a JV, hey, that's a win-win. So there you go, guys. It is the hour. I appreciate you guys. If you're a student, you guys would be on the orientation call right after this. Awesome. I'll see you guys there. And guys, put this on your calendar. If you are not part of this yet, or if this is your first time here, add this call that we just did. Every single week, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into something new. I hope you guys got value. Can I get a 1 in the chat? If you guys got value, just make me feel a little bit appreciated right now. All right. Thank you. Thank you. And Carrie, you said, how can we JV? If you bring me or my team or one of my students a really good deal, that's the way we JV. That's it.
Do you have like a buy box, or how I know it's going to be a good deal for you?
Through education, right? Through learning how to give the right offer, knowing where a buy box needs to be. I'll be very honest with you. I'm never going to really give away a buy box because it's either a deal or it's not a deal. And your job as a wholesaler, and the reason I'm not giving this to you is I'm not trying to give you a free pass. I want you to learn. And if in the next call we have to, and actually maybe next week or the week after that, we'll talk about comping and figuring out your offer, right? We've been talking about marketing and stuff like that. Now we have to start talking about underwriting your deals. That might be actually next week. I'll think about it. But as I said before, I have a very strict buy box. If I'm going to be buying a property for myself, it's either a damn good creative deal that I love, because I don't do Airbnbs, I don't do pad splits or co-living or any of the bullshit. I have a single family portfolio that I build. So I either want it to be a really good creative offer, or I want it to be a really damn good cash offer that I will flip with my team, and I will renovate that property and make money. And so for me, I'm not really ever going to be like, yeah, maybe I'll give you a really weak buy box. Just find me a deal. Find me a deal. And if it's in Salt Lake, obviously I'm happier if it's in Salt Lake. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to learn, so I want to go from scratch, from like step 1, step 2, and if we can do a case here, that would be like easy, especially for me that I'm not too
No worries.
I'm new, so I want to learn everything.
Hey, Jennifer, that is my fault. I tried to text you this morning. So guys, Jennifer scheduled a call with me yesterday, and for some reason there was a conflict on my calendar and it didn't actually go through. Jennifer, I do want to hop on this call if it's something you're serious about. Okay. If you're something you're serious about, and let me be very clear. No worries, Jennifer. You're probably at school today. Let me be very clear. If you want to hop on a call, to be a student, this is really what I asked to be a student, is I am willing to work with all of my students on a financial front, because my goal is I want you guys to have money first and foremost for marketing. That's my goal. I really don't want I'm not going to take anybody's dollar if it's going to make them broke and actually suffer. So what I'll say is this: if you want, I can do a one-on-one orientation with you. Let's hop on that strategy call, see if it's the right fit. I'm not trying to put pressure on you at all, but you did schedule that call and we had that conflict last night. So let me just reach out to you right after this today, and we'll hop on a call, and then I'll do a custom orientation for you if it's a good fit. Is that cool? I love it. Thank you. And again, sorry about last night. So guys, there you go. Put it on your calendar. Put this on your calendar. And if you have anybody else that you think will appreciate this call, help me grow my community. The investor semester, the goal here is I really want to try to create no gatekeeping. I want to try to create honest, more moral driven education where it's not bullshit. It's not lies. I'm never going to tell you this is easy. I'm never, ever going to tell you that, oh, just spend money and it's going to happen automatically. I want to make sure that money's been robbed out of my bank account. I have been scammed by people that I thought I can trust, including mentors of mine. I've wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars in thinking I was making the right decision based off of a mentor telling me what to do. And it was nothing more than me spending money and putting money in their pocket. That is not what I am trying to do. My goal is, if you're ever going to be here for free, I want you to get your deals. And if you get a deal and it becomes a point where becoming a student actually makes sense and it's not going to stress you out, I want you guys to make money the minute you join the community. I want you guys to start really growing it out. So as I said to you guys before, if you want to share this out, if you guys want to post this across other Facebook groups or your friends, that would mean a lot to me. I want to see this grow. Right now, I think we had 26 people. Help me get to 30, help me get to 40. The more people here makes more energy for me. So guys, my students, I'll see you on the next call. And guys, if you want to book a call with me, the link is in the chat, and I'll see you guys next time. And DM me if you want the recording. There you go. Love it. Thank you guys. See you on the next call.